It is the top of the hour. We will go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the IAAP New Member Orientation Session. I am Rachel Hall, one of your hosts today. And before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. We do have closed captioning provided. You can select the closed captioning icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And also posted in the chat is a stream text link if you prefer to view your captions that way. We are recording today's session and can offer a recording afterwards. And we do have microphones muted just to prevent any background noise or disruptions, but we are here to answer your questions today. So please feel free to post your questions in the chat or the Q&A, and we will pause in between each section and make sure that we get all your questions answered. All right, so we'll get started today with our agenda. I'm going to do just a quick team introductions, let you know who is on the call today. Then we'll do a just real short overview about IAAP and our members, and then we'll dive right into the different membership benefits. And then we'll talk about other ways you can engage. And then at the end, we'll spend a little bit of time on the website and connections. So again, for introductions today, again, I'm Rachel Paul, and I'm the Membership Services Director here at IAAP, and it might be one of your first points of contact on any of your general membership questions, and welcoming you to IAAP. And I am joined by Sam Evans, our Certification Director. Good afternoon, Sam.
Hello. Thanks everyone for joining us. I see some familiar names. Welcome, welcome. My name is Sam Evans. I am the Certification Director here at IAAP, and I have a team of 3, and we are your first points of contact for information about discovering, applying, taking exams, maintaining, and renewing those certifications.
All right. Thank you, Sam. And also with us behind the scenes, I have Heather Drury, who's on the membership team, and Heather will be posting in the chat different links about the topics that we're covering today. So if you want to bookmark a page or follow along, those links will be posted in the chat. So a little bit about IAAP and our members. So we do offer memberships for individuals, students, or you may be part of an organizational membership where there's different levels, and that could be, you can have a corporate or a nonprofit organizational membership where you have so many team members based on your level that are part of the membership. And I think it's unique that all of our members come from so many different industry sectors. So we have a lot of people in government and IT and higher ed. But then we also have members in healthcare and telecommunications. We have private consultants. We see a lot of people in banking and finance. We have nonprofits and groups that work with the end users directly, providing disability services, assistive technology companies. We have architects and urban planners and engineers that work in the built environment space. And we're really starting to see an uptick in accessible travel and tourism, as well as some retail and transportation. So when you bring all of our members together from across the globe, and that number on the screen says 7,500, but we're actually, I think, when we ended the second quarter here, closer to about 9,000 members in 110 countries. And currently we have 5 regional chapters. And I'll talk a little bit more about the chapters and their resources and activities at the end. This is a little bit about our membership base. So this is how we're going to break out the session today. I'm going to talk about some professional development and education opportunities, and then Sam will go over the different certification options and walk you through that. And I'm going to come back and talk about networking and resources that are available. And then finally, I said at the end, I will take a look at the website with you, and we'll walk through a couple items there and highlight some important pages for you. So kicking off with professional education, we currently have several offerings, one being our 2 professional education webinar series. We have one that focuses on digital accessibility and one on the built environment. And as a member, you have free access to those live webinars. So every month there's a new subject matter expert and a new topic. There are great ways to upskill, learn about a different topic, take a deeper dive, or learn something new or refresh on a skill. Um, you have access to the webinar recordings afterwards. So record all the webinars and they're made available in our webinar archives. Usually within a week, we have them up there, but there's hundreds of hours. We've been doing webinars for about 10 years now. So you'll find in our webinar archives, hundreds of hours of learning available to you. All of the webinars are pre-approved for CAEC. We use the acronym CAEC for Continuing Accessibility Education Credits. So if you have earned an IAP certification, you're required to maintain it over 3 years by earning so many hours of these continuing education credits. So the webinars are a great way to build up those hours for you. In addition to the monthly series, we have what we call subject matter expert webinars, and these are single webinars that are more broad or general in topics. We've had 6 planned for this year. We've had 3 already. We have one tomorrow that is on accessible digital maps. So that's happening at 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. These are also free. They're actually free for anyone to attend those, but of course, as a member, you'd have access to those as free as well. And then we have, they should be up on the website probably in the next week or two. We have another one coming up in October, then one in December to round out this year. And then we also have mini series throughout the year as well that fall under those professional education series. So again, these would be free for you as a member. We had one that kicked off back in May and June that was on accessible documents and forms. It was a 4-part mini series. So you can find that one in the archives now. We have 4 great webinars on that topic. And then coming up, you'll find it on the website now. It just was uploaded last week. We're having just a short 2-part mini series at the end of this month. It's on inclusive language. So you'll find some information about that posted in the chat, the upcoming webinars page. But we also might do some industry or topic specific webinars. In the past, we've done a whole series on accessibility in higher education. So I would recommend checking that upcoming webinar page frequently to see new stuff is always being added. And then we also have some things going on related to the EAA. So there's a lot of activity with that going into effect at the end of June. We currently have a LinkedIn page that's called EAA Q&A, where every week we are posting a new article that breaks down a different article from the EAA, and it's an opportunity to ask questions. And those are followed with a monthly drop-in session where you can, as members, you can attend and ask more questions from the subject matter experts. So there's also some information about that posted in the chat. So those are our, the different webinar series. The next thing I want to talk about is training and courses. So we have a recently launched education portal, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but you'll be able to access courses. There's a handful of online self-paced courses that you can enroll in at any time as long as your membership is active. We have some of our traditional courses that we've had out there for a while now with the CPAC prep course. And CPAC is a certified professional and accessibility core competencies, which is our foundational exam. And Sam will give you some more information about that coming up here soon. But we do have this prep course that was developed at Princeton University here in the States. It has several modules of learning and a practice exam. So it's a nice accompaniment to other resources to help you prepare for the CPAC exam. We have a newly redesigned fundamental and accessibility and universal design for buildings and public spaces. So that has just been completely updated, that course. So even though it's old, but it's new, totally new and updated material. if you work in, in the built environment space. And then we have our accessible document overview. And now, just last month, newly released some new role-based courses. So you can go in and check that out. I think there's 4 right now. There's a fundamentals of accessibility, and then there's a course for designers. I know there's a screenshot on the screen here, and it's so small I can't read it either. But we're going to take a look at the education portal, and I can give you more update on some of those courses. How do you access those? Through this education portal that I mentioned. When you're on the website and you're logged in, your name appears, at least visually, on the top of the top right corner of the screen, and there's a drop-down menu. So there's a big blue arrow there with a drop-down menu that gives you access to several things like connections, the certification portal, and this education portal. So if you select the education portal, it'll take you into a page that looks similar to the screenshot that is displaying on my screen. It's very colorful and lists out all the courses there. And I said, as long as your membership is active, you can enroll in those courses and get started at any time. So the courses are free to you as a member. Now, you do have the option at the end of the course to take a test. So this is very different than the professional certification exam. These are short tests that you can take for a small fee. I believe it's $15. And when you pass the test, you can earn a knowledge badge. So it's just a nice other pathway. Maybe you're not ready for certification, or you just want to upskill. They also can be used if you already earned a certification. You can take these courses to earn some of those CAKES, those continuing education credits. But if you're maybe new to accessibility, you want to look at some of those role-based courses, if you're not there at certification yet, it's still a nice way that you can be acknowledged for the skills and the knowledge that you have, and you can showcase your knowledge badge for those. So that is about education. So I'm going to let Sam take it over and give you the overview about our different certification offerings.
Hello, so this is Sam Evans, and we're sharing a screen that's titles is Certification Offerings and an Exam Journey Overview. So we'll start first with talking a little bit about the certification overview, which is where you'll start your discovery process. You're looking at your options for certifications, determining which one is the right fit for you and your experience and your plans professionally. And you'll do that from the certification overview, which on our level 1 menu, certification is the third option, and certification overview is the first in the drop-down options. The certification overview gives you a little overview about professional certifications, and then has kind of tiles in the middle of the screen or the middle of the page, one for each certification with information. You can select that to go to the About page to learn more about each certification. And at the bottom of that page, there's information about things you need to know about applying, payments, discounts, maintenance, etc. So the certification overview is your starting point for all things certification. From there, you'll explore which of the certifications is the right fit for you by visiting the About page for each of the certifications. The About page is going to give you basic information about each of the certifications. And so I'm going to switch over to the visual display, the graphics on the screen. On the right-hand side is our 4 circles, 2 top, 2 bottom. They all have a dark blue circle with IAAP at the top, and then an acronym or abbreviation for each of the certifications on the bottom. And there's a different colored concentric circle on the outside. So a little small circle outside the big blue circle that's tied to the color bars or the different colors associated with each of the certifications. And the top left, the first one is it's a Certified Professional in Accessibility Core Competencies, CPACC. This is the core foundation. This is the bottom 1/3 of a pyramid. If you think about that shape with a square bottom and 4 triangular tops that come together to a pinpoint at the top. The bottom 1/3 of that pyramid is your core competencies, your foundations, your core understanding language terms, so that we can apply that strength as a profession in everything that we do when we talk about accessibility and disability inclusion. CPAC starts by first sharing information about some of the most common types of disabilities, barriers that people with disabilities face, the types of assistive technologies and adaptive strategies that people with disabilities face, along with how those barriers impact their ability to live, learn, work, and play in the world that we live in. We also learn about the statistics, how prevalent types of disabilities are, which ones are related to socioeconomic factors, and theoretical models. So these are the models about how people talk about disability, the strengths and their weaknesses to help you identify how disability and accessibility are positioned in language. So that's the starting point for CPAC, the first three sections. You move into the second of the three sections, and that's going to cover some core understanding of the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, WCAG, WCAG, or depending on how you were introduced to it, WCAG. But not a deep dive. This is high level of understanding the four pillars there. Then some understanding and basics about universal design, how it complements but is not the same as accessibility. And then moving into universal design for learning, not because everyone is a teacher or in an educational setting, but when we communicate, our best methods are to use these core tenets of universal design for learning to communicate multi-modes and different formats to meet our audience where they are. The third section in CPAC is going to cover laws, regulations, and standards around the world. Which ones are laws that that you have to meet their compliance with, standards that you conform to, and then regulations that may influence industries in specific areas. So that's the first part of Domain 3. And the last part is how do you introduce and incorporate accessibility in the business dynamic. So that's CPAC. This is that core foundation, the bottom third of that pyramid. So CPAC is not the beginning. There are established professionals that have been in industry in this practice for more than 2 decades that hold CPAC. But it is a way that we can all work together for shared language, terms, understanding, and concepts. CPAC has a requirement of 1 year of experience in accessibility, or perhaps you have a new role with accessibility as part of your responsibilities, or if you're transitioning and you want to make accessibility part of your professional career path. Those are the 3 ways that you can qualify for CPAC, and that's a question on the application. The second certification that we offer is the Web Accessibility Specialist, WAS or WAS. And so WAS is an intermediate technical certification. And so it does have a requirement of 3 to 5 years of experience performing the job tasks. So when we say job tasks, these are the ways that professional certifications are designed. What are the job tasks that the qualified candidate should be able to perform to meet the standards that are presented in a certification? WAS does have requirements of 3 to 5 years of experience performing the job tasks that make up the WAS content outline and body of knowledge. So in order to qualify as a candidate, since everyone applies as a candidate, that experience is required. It can be presented as a resume, a CV, or perhaps people would then choose to select those job tasks on their application and write about how they've engaged with that work. The purpose in that is so that the information presented to us is clear enough that a hiring manager could read that presentation and say, on day 1, I know this person could roll in and do high quality work based on experiential knowledge, delivering in these 3 categories. So WAS starts with the first section being on technical digital accessibility, front end and back end. So on the front end, design and implementation and impact; on the back end, understanding the code elements, what you can achieve with semantic HTML, how, when, or why to or not to use ARIA, understanding ARIA attributes and properties, understanding elements that go into the technical components. It doesn't mean writing code from scratch, but it does mean having the responsibility of delivering either editing, remediation, or implementing these elements on the technical parts of digital accessibility on websites. Domain 2 in WAS moves into a little bit more of some testing, usability, and quality assurance processes. So that's going to include usability across types of disability, browsers, operating systems, and types of assistive technology, automated and manual testing, and understanding the differences and the limitations in automation. Even though it's come a long way, that's still not enough. And then also understanding usability and accessibility beyond compliance, and making sure that QA process is part of the software life development cycle. So Domain 2 is more on testing usability. Don't forget there's other pieces you can read about in the WAS content outline. Domain 3, however, is about auditing a website and writing up those recommendations and findings. What's the biggest challenge? Which should be tackled first? Which are the easiest ones that could be resolved easily or through CSS, et cetera? And how do you present those findings to the person that's going to be responsible for remediating the website? So, um, so that's WAS, that's at a high level. So on the bottom left, there's another circle there, badge that says CPWA, and that's the Certified Professional in Web Accessibility that borrows the Certified Professional from CPAC and borrows the web accessibility from WAS. So CPWA is not a different test. It is awarded to people who earn both CPAC and WAS. So they've got that bottom third of that pyramid in their foundation and a small layer on top of that that's intermediate technical digital accessibility. On the bottom right is the Accessible Document Specialist. This is another intermediate technical certification. It is designed for people that have a minimum of 1 year experience working with and either in writing, creating, and or remediating documents. That's going to be authoring formats of word processing, spreadsheets, presentations, and desktop publishing. The first section or domain on this is going to be how you write, create, and publish documents in authoring formats to take advantage of the built-in tools, formatting issues, and elements to make those documents usable and readable for the most possible of audiences. Domain 2 is when you have to remediate in those final formats. So you've received something that was created in an authoring format, but it's not usable and accessible yet. So how do you remediate in those tools? Domain 3 is what happens when you get a final format that is either a scan, a flat image, a flat document, something that needs to be optical character recognition, and understanding how to manually tag those elements, how to put those properties in. If you're in InDesign, what kind of properties do you need to put in place in InDesign so that they hold when you export to PDF for final format, and how do you make edits in EPUB as well. Domains 4 and 5 are building on those first three. Domain 4 is most about what are the values and how, if you were asked, could you make advice, whether that was to a colleague or formally, about why training in authoring formats is important to reduce the amount of remediation needed and to create the most usable and accessible documents. And Domain 5, again, not necessarily in a formal position, but it could be if you were asked to contribute, you as an accessibility champion could advise why document accessibility is important internally and externally for companies and organizations. So that's high-level review of each of our 3 certifications and 4 credentials. So you've discovered which one's the right one for you. You've got the experience required. You're ready to plan for your exam. Each of the web pages, and I see Heather has posted each of the about pages in chat, has an about page that has information about how to prepare for an exam. So each page has information. You're going to start by reading the content outline to determine first glance, I've got strength in all of these areas. Here's something I'm not familiar with. I should spend some time going through the body of knowledge at first glance to look through, read through, listen to, hear what's there, determine which areas you have strength in, which areas you want to mark to come back to, and start planning your preparation. There are additional resources that you might choose if you'd like, knowing that all exams are written from the body of knowledge and the content outline. So you can use those pages to learn how to prepare. There's a set of pages called Plan Your Exam, which give you information about exam session dates, when applications open, when you can take exams. There's also information page about payments and discounts. Again, as a member, you are eligible for a $100 discount off the price of exams, or an emerging developing economy discount if you live in one of the countries in that part of the world. There's also how can you pay, which ways you can make payments, group waiver discounts if you're an organization. There's also a page that talks about accommodations and accessibility. We don't require documentation. What accommodations and accessibility features are available with our certification exams, and then locations and options, how and where you want to take your exam. So those Plan Your Exam pages are listed in the certification overview and the dropdown. They're also on each about page. So when you've completed your study preparation is when you have set your sights on how to apply. Each page has an apply section, each about page, and that will give you the details when applications are open in each of the 6 exam sessions. There'll be a link that's live to the certification portal. You can also get to that when you log into IAAP on the website, choose certification portal. That's another way in. You apply. Once your application's approved, you'll have told us where you want to take your exam, how you want to pay. We'll arrange this payment plans with you, send you scheduling details after payment's received. You can schedule your exam, take your test. Exam results are sent 4 to 6 weeks from the close of the exam session. Once you're awarded, then you begin your 3-year period to earn your accessibility education credits, which Rachel's going to talk about those webinars, all these great engagements and opportunities, conferences. Those are ways that you validate that you as a professional are validating your knowledge that you're continuing to learn so that you stay on top of what's happening in our industry, the profession, disability rights, and accessibility. And that is how you maintain and renew your certification, by submitting those requests to have them approved and validated as credits towards maintaining your certification. Again, you have that discount on your application for your membership. As a member, you have a discount on your exam fee. If you hold your membership across all 3 years, there's no fee to renew your certification. Non-members or people who've not held membership across all 3 years are required to pay a $200 renewal fee. We do have a professional certification directory, and those are available online. And when you earn a certification, you opt in. And so you opt in to have your name and organization displayed, and we're going to add country location soon. So that's a great way for everyone to find you, to validate companies, vendors, prospects, et cetera. And then we also issue Credly badges. And so Credly badges are digital badges. They're open format, so they can be used in any kind of digital wallet or format. They automatically link to the information about what was required to earn the certification, the skills and the basics that are covered with that, along with when the certification was issued and when it expires. So that's a high level overview of the offerings and exam journey, and that's the basics. But professional certifications are a little bit different than some of the things, and I saw a question earlier. So about how they differ from a different program, and I'll address those in chat in a minute. But professional certifications require some type of experience in an application to qualify. And so that's one of the first things, but they're also valid for a certain time period. Our certifications are valid for 3 years, and they do require ongoing maintenance, which means you have to participate in structured learning or in sharing your knowledge within the accessibility profession outside of your primary role. And so that means you either are a lifelong learner and you're participating in quality content that helps relate to your certification, and that's validated, or you're sharing your knowledge in the accessibility profession so that you're helping others in a peer-to-peer collegial dynamic outside of paid work. So you are demonstrating through all of that, by applying, by qualifying, by passing the exam, by maintaining your certification, that you have a commitment to the accessibility profession. And so that can definitely be something you use to differentiate yourself from others. Certification alone is not the thing that's going to get someone a job, but it certainly is a way to add some sparkle to you as a professional. You can help advance your career in that manner by distinguishing your skills and knowledge, by passing that assessment that's been validated by thousands of your peers and colleagues. That can be a benchmark within organizations. Oftentimes the technical certifications are seen as a requirement for advancement into technical teams, but a lot of companies require forward-facing, front-facing, or anybody that's speaking about disability and accessibility to take CPAT, to know that they have the language and background. Again, we have that professional directory, and then you have the discounts and the Credly badge. So there's lots of ways that you can use professional certifications to add to your experience and add to your professional transferable skills. So they are certainly one part of your portfolio to bring together. Our certification team does an open format office hours drop-in twice a month on first and second Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern and then 5 p.m. Eastern. They're free forum, open format, so there's no program to present. But they're just one way that can bring that together. And for people who've just earned a certification, we have started doing an orientation that's, now that you've earned your certification, congratulations, now what's next? Where we walk through everyone how to present their education credits. So if you have any questions, by all means, let me know. Heather's posted my email, our team email email in chat. But the biggest value add, I mean, membership is great, and I'm a member of several associations myself, but the biggest value in all of those professional associations is finding your peers and colleagues and that networking opportunity to find people who speak your language, who understand what you do and understand the challenges that you're facing, help you find resources and solution sets. So in addition to your webinars and education, Rachel's going to talk about networking, and I'll start answering questions in Q&A.
All right, thanks, Sam. So yes, connecting with your peers and colleagues and other professionals in this field, we're able to provide a place for our members to do that in our Member Connections platform. So if you haven't been into Connections yet, we'll take a look at it in a few minutes, but when the main focal point is the discussion board. So that is an absolutely great place to go to ask questions, and maybe you can share your own expertise on any given day. When you log into Connections, you'll see a variety of topics. People are asking questions about best practices or challenges that they're having, and it's such a great, friendly community. Everybody, looking to help each other out. So I highly encourage you to spend some time in Connections, read the discussion board, and contribute when you can. I mean, it's really a great place to learn from others and get a sense of what's going on, and again connect with the other members across the world here that are engaged. So outside of the discussion board that's in Connections, there's different communities or groups that you can also participate in. I had someone ask earlier about the Career Center or job board. So we call it the Career Center, but it's a job board where you can put your job postings. So if you're hiring, and what a great place to get your job posted in front of 9,000 plus accessibility professionals from around the world. It's going to be a great audience for when you're looking to hire accessibility professionals, or if you're looking to make a change, you can go check out the latest job postings that are there. We talked about chapters. We do have most of our chapters will have a community within Connections. So it's just another way to connect with members in your region. We have study groups for the different certifications. So if you like that group dynamic and being part of a study group, you can always join one or find one happening within the Connection communities. We have some member started groups that maybe are more topic or industry specific. We have some community practices and task force. So there's lots of different things happening in Connections. It's your community, it's your networking place. If there's a group that you want to start, whether you're in a particular industry sector or region or anything, please reach out, and we are happy to help get the group set up, and then we can get the word out to members like, hey, there's this new group in Connections if you want to come check it out. Another way to meet members and other accessibility professionals and members of the IAAP team is to attend an event, whether it's virtual or in person. We have one annual event that's our conference called the Enabling Summit. It happens in October every year. This year it's October 6th, 7th, and 8th. So it's 3 days of networking, activities, sessions, keynotes, some breakout rooms, workshops, alley chats, social activities. So it's a really nice program if you're able to attend. There is a member discount. So you can just reach out to us and ask for your member discount code before you register, and we'll give that to you. It is, it's in person, but there's also a virtual aspect of it. It doesn't cover everything, but there are a lot of key sessions and things that will be recorded in the virtual package as well. TechShare Pro is an accessibility event that happens in the UK in November. It's been going on for a while now. AbilityNet is our UK chapter lead, so they're highly involved and host that. It's hybrid, so you can attend in person and Canary Wharf, I believe it is, or attend virtually. It's, I think, around November 15, 16, 17, something like that. It's always around right around the mid-November. And I think they have some early bird or registration happening right now. And if you're in that area, or if you're just interested in attending that virtually as a member, they are also offering a discount to attend. And we'll have some information about that. Either reach out to us or we can connect you and get that code to you. We've done some things in the past with Inclusive India, with our India chapter, and then at least twice a year we host an EU event, usually one in the spring and one in the fall. This past April, we were in the Czech Republic and had a hybrid event there over 2 days, and it was heavily focused on the EAA. Those recordings are available on our YouTube channel if you're interested in that. And now coming up in September, so not that far away now, is a celebration of the Web Accessibility Directive. It's the 5th anniversary this year, so it's not going to be a day and a half event. The first day is it's usually a hybrid event, but for this fall it's just going to be virtual. And the first day is a half-day workshop that does have limited seating because they're going to do some work in breakout groups, so we don't want hundreds of people on, so it is limited. So if you're interested in that, register early. It's free for members. But the second day is a full day of sessions happening. So then, again, it's free for members. There's information about it posted in the chat. And then sometimes there'll be other networking opportunities through virtual networking sessions. Our India and UK chapter work together, and every other month they host a networking virtual event. I think the next one is coming up in the first week of September. It's going to be the 4th or the 5th, something like that. It's happening. So it's for new members or those that are interested in membership. They have speaker, and then they usually go into breakout groups where you can introduce yourself and can network with other members. Networking, and I just have one more slide talking about additional resources before we go take a look at the website. So all the stuff we covered today, lots of information about webinars, new courses, exam dates, when to apply, events, member discounts on things. A great way to keep up with all that information is to read our weekly newsletter. So we put out Happening This Week every week. It usually goes out on Wednesday mornings, and it'll give you a week to 10-day snapshot of anything coming out of IAP news or our chapters. We also have we'll highlight other events, accessibility events, and meetup groups, or other webinars that are educational that are happening. People will share with us to share out to our members. So lots of information in that weekly newsletter to help you keep up to date on the latest things happening. And then we also put out once a month the Accessibility Matters newsletter, and that's more stories from around the globe, news related. So we could do a lot of stuff, what's happening in the EU, legislation updates, the latest technology or gadgets or events or big kind of things that are happening around the globe. So that is another newsletter, both of those going out. Another resource is an open resource that's not just for members, that anybody can access it, is our professional resource library. And it had started out as a place to go to find resources and training related to accessibility for yourself or your team or staff. And it works like a search engine. You could put in, what are you looking for? And then it would just like search engine generate a bunch of different resources that are available, whether it was from a company or a webinar, training available, a private consultant, anything like that you could go there and find. But it's been revamped a little bit recently because now it's also an opportunity for you to showcase like your company's products and services as a member. So you have to be a member to add your company to that. So if you are working in your company provides, accessible products and services, and you want to highlight that in this resource guide, you can, because people will come to us from outside the community and ask for, like, do you know, I need help, remediating my webpage. I need someone to do an audit on this new building, or any different questions. People, PDF remediation is always a big one. And so we can point those to this resource library, and people can go there. And we also have, for organizational members, we have a directory on our website. And then Sam mentioned the professional directory, the certified professional directory too. So people are coming to us looking for products and services, and we are happy to promote our members and the services that they provide. And then recently too, we added some EAA focused resources. So if you're searching for service products, subject matter experts in that area, and things related to the EAA, you can search that too. Let's see what else. Participate on a committee or task force if you're, really looking to get engaged more. We are a small nonprofit that does rely on volunteers. We've had such great volunteers over the year to be a voice from the community, to help, push initiatives through. And you can also earn some of those continuing education credits from your volunteer time. And so it's another great way to network and be engaged. If you're interested in learning more about committees, reach out to us too, and we can help move forward with that. Regional chapters. So I've touched on that a few times, so now I'll get into it a little bit more detail now. I mentioned we have 5 chapters. So we have a Nordic chapter that represents the countries in the Nordic region. We have India chapter, a UK chapter, a Mexico chapter, and our DACH chapter. DACH is our German-speaking chapter representing Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So they're very active. If you happen, if you're in one of those regions that has a chapter, there's no additional dues to participate in their activities. Some of the chapters have their own webinar series. I know the DACH chapter does a member breakfast, the first Tuesday of the month, I believe. So there's lots of different activities there that you can take advantage of regionally. So it's a regional resource for you. And then we have a Credly digital badge for membership. So we have ones for certification. If you earn your certification, you'll get your Credly badge. And then for membership, we have badges for organizational members, professional members, and students. So usually we'll try to get those out within 2 weeks of new members joining. So if it's been a little bit and you haven't received yours yet, just let us know. We'll look into it, make sure we get that to you. But you can, put the badge in your email signature. A lot of organizations will put it somewhere on their website, showcasing that they're a member with their commitment to. So that wraps up our slides. I don't see any other questions in the chat, so I'm going to take over sharing the screen, and I'm going to go to the website and connections and the remaining time here and just show a few things. So give me a second to take over here. All right. You're seeing the website, Sam? I know it's a little slow sometimes. Good. Okay, so before you can access Connections, the education portal, before you register for webinars, you'll want to make sure that you are logged in so you can access all these things easily. And I can tell that I'm logged in at the top. I can see my name, and there's a drop-down menu next to my name. So there's a lot of important links in this drop-down menu. So I'm going to select that arrow. And it may look, what's in your drop-down menu may look slightly different, whether you're an individual member or if you're a primary on an organizational membership, you'll have maybe 1 or 2 more tabs, but everybody will have their profile. You'll have the link to the Connections platform. You'll have your membership tab with your details. Let's see, everybody has a My Webinars tab, so we'll talk about that in a minute. The education portal for the courses, and then the certification portal is here. So whether you've already earned a certification and you need to upload your cakes, or if you're going to apply in a future session, you'd go through the certification portal to do that. Um, let's see. So first, so that's our drop down menu. I'm going to go to, now I'm in the main navigation on our website, and I'm going to go to the education tab where you can view under education webinars. We'll go to the upcoming webinars are archived here, are all our events. So outside of just our events and our EU events, we also track all the main accessibility conferences throughout the year. We have, we'll have updates about those, accessibility meetup groups that with people that run those will share with us, up their latest events and some regional things in there. So there's lots of information on the events page. We do have courses and training that will give you a little breakdown before you go to the education portal if you want to read up a little bit more about the different offerings. And then we have a podcast that I always forget to mention in the slides, but it's called United in Accessibility. We have a podcast with new episodes usually come out about twice a month. You can listen or read along through the website. There's a full transcript there, and then you can listen, or you can also find it on any of the main podcast streaming platforms. But take a listen. We have a lot of great guests. That's the word. A lot of great guests this past probably 6 months or so in the last year. So back to webinars for a minute here. So I'm under this tab on the webinars. You're either going to go to upcoming page to see all the, what's the latest, what's happening, or the archived if you want to go view some things. And maybe you want to go back and find that accessible document series that I mentioned and access that. You can go to the archives to find that. But let's go ahead and look at the upcoming webinars. So on this page, as it is going to be updated frequently. The professional education digital series that will run a calendar year. So we'll have that January to January, or January through December. We will be putting out a call for webinar topics for 2026. So if that's something that you're interested in, or somebody else, a subject matter expert within your organization that might be interested in submitting a topic for consideration, we'll have some information. What in our newsletter will go out when we put the call for topics out for that. So we'll get that all situated and usually announce the next year's series by the end of the year to kick off in January. The professional series for the built environment, that tends to run usually summer to summer. So with that, the call for topics was closed, and we're currently in a review process of that. So there will be some new webinars added here later, probably early this fall for that series. I mentioned the Web Accessibility Directive event. Since it's totally virtual this year, we kind of put it under events and under webinars to set it up there so people could register for one or both days. So you'll find that on this page. It's technically an event, but it's also, since it's online, available here as a webinar as well. The inclusive language series that's coming up, was just added last week. There's only 2 webinars in that, but so anything on this page is free to you as a member. Sometimes we do have a paid series, but right now everything on here is free to members. The subject matter expert webinar that's happening tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern on creating inclusive and ADA compliant digital geographic text maps. So with Brandon Biggs, that's going to be an interesting topic. I've seen his presentation before, so if you're interested in that, you should sign up for and join us tomorrow. So this is that upcoming page, and I would recommend, bookmarking it or coming back to it and seeing, because there will be some more subject matter expert webinars coming up for the remainder of the year, and this is the built environment series as well. But I'm going to go ahead into the digital series, and when I open up the series, you'll see the remaining webinars. So coming up later this month, we have accessibility in emerging economies, all the way through to the end of the year. So I'm just going to select one. I have probably already registered for these, so it's hard to demo the complete checkout process, but I'm going to select the one in November and see what happens. Yes, I'm already registered for it, but when you open up this webinar page, you get the overview, the speaker bio, and a list of learning objectives. But if you haven't been registered for it, there'll be an add to cart button here. So you'll select add to cart, and then you'll check out. It should say $0. If it says anything other than zero, make sure you're logged in. And if you're logged in and if it says something, just let us know, we'll troubleshoot, but that shouldn't be an issue. So you would just check it out, add it to your cart, and then you're ready to go. You'll get a confirmation email. Thank you for registering for our webinars. And then once you have registered for it, if you would come back to this page, like I am now, I've already registered for this webinar. Rather than adding it to my cart, I have a join link. So this is your unique link to join the webinar on the day of. So on November 18th, drop in here at 11 a.m. Eastern and select join the webinar, and I am good to go. And so that's where I want to go next, is back up to the top in that drop down menu by my name. And I said everybody has a link called My Webinars here. So if you select that, you can go to your own library of webinars. So if anything that you've pre-registered for, anything you registered that's upcoming will be listed here. So again, on the day of the webinar, you can come in and select that webinar and join straight from the website. Or if you registered for a webinar and it passed, it'll automatically get moved to your archives. Or if you've gone back, to 2023 and found some great topics that you added to your account and checked out, they will be listed here under my archived webinars. And you can access those at any time. Go open those up and review them. When you open the one up now, instead of join webinar, it'll say watch recorded webinar, and that will open up in our YouTube channel. So you're building your own web on-demand webinar library here that you can come back to anytime and access the ones in your archives. This is really nice if you're using webinars for cakes. So now you don't have to go back through your emails and your calendar and remember which webinars did you view. When you're submitting your cakes, you can come here and this will help make that process a lot easier for you, because you'll have everything at your fingertips. So that's about my webinars. I know we're getting short on time here, so I want to go next to, again, up to my name in the drop-down menu, and let's just real quickly go to the education portal. So if you're already enrolled in something, it'll take you directly to the page that will show the courses you're enrolled in. But I'm just going to select courses at the top so we can see everything that we have here. So there's currently 7 courses out here. There's going to be at least 1 or 2 that will be coming. I know there's going to be one on for accessibility for testers coming out, and hopefully by at least sometime next month is what I heard. But we have the CPAC course, document overview course, the design of buildings and public spaces, and then there's these 4 kind of rule-based courses or general courses down here. If you open up any of these courses by selecting Learn More, you can get a lot of information about the course. There's a goes over the different modules so you know what to expect, what's covered in the course, if there's any prerequisites or requirements for it. And you can also see who the subject matter experts were that helped contribute to the course, as well as some frequently asked questions. It's real simple, again, to enroll. At the top of the page here, I see twice on this page an enroll button that you just enroll there. It's self-paced on your own. You can access it at any time when you're ready to do that. So that's the education portal. So let me go back to the website and make sure I want to make sure we have time to go over to connections. So you hit that quick. I've selected connections from that drop-down menu, and here we are in connections, and at the top, as the focal point here is this discussion board. So there's a lot of things happening. I see even from, we had one of these new member sessions this morning, that a lot more discussions have been added since then. So I'm just looking at some of the topics people are talking about today. Rollable content accessibility, keeping track and submitting cakes. So is a good question. Somebody shared a webinar. I believe Kelly might be with AbilityNet, so she was sharing a upcoming webinar that they have. How much would you ask for making a PDF accessible? So that's and someone said they're based in Europe. PowerPoint accessibility question. And then also, you'll see our team members, different team members will post updates in here as a reminder yesterday that, that there was a new member session today, or if there's, a new webinar coming up or something, or we'll put announcements in here as well from the team. So it's real easy to engage if you select the topic, you can open that up if you want to comment. If you want to start a new discussion, you just select join the conversation. It opens up almost like an email format with a subject line and then a place to put your content. So it's really easy to engage here. And then for the different communities, I think we'll have time to touch on that. So there's communities is the second tab in the home, in the main navigation menu next to home. If you select communities, there's a drop down menu. And if you select all communities, that's where you can find those different groups to engage in. So I'm just going to scroll down because there's like 3 pages worth of groups, but just to point out a couple. The Accessible Security Community, that was a member-started group. Someone works in cybersecurity and accessibility. He was excited to start a group. I know he shared a lot of resources in here. There's an ADS study group. We don't have a formal Canadian chapter, but we do have a Canadian accessibility community here in Connections. The Career Center, and someone asked at the top of the hour about where that was. So you have your Career Center where you can post the jobs. There's also a second one here to post resumes. Let's see what else. The CPAC study group, some communities of practice like our higher education group. And then if I go over to the second page, the WAS study group, and then up at the top as I scroll here, some of our chapters have their communities in here. So it's real easy to join. If it's an open community, there's a join button, and that's how you can participate and engage in these different communities. So I know that was a lot, and we're almost at the top of the hour. So I hope that gave you a nice overview of your membership benefits and different ways that you can engage. And we're here to support you and the work that you're doing in your teams and your organization. So have any questions? We have a few minutes left. If you think of something tomorrow, you can email us. I believe Heather shared all our email and contact information in the chat. So we hope to see you engaged and maybe on a future webinar or at M-Enabling this fall, somewhere else online at another activity. And for those that asked about the recording, we'll get something set out in the next day or so of one of today's recordings out to everyone. Oops, I think you're on mute, Sam.
Zoom is not my friend today. If you have other questions, by all means, do contact us by email or use the contact us form on the website, and we will be back in touch with you to support you as best we can. We look forward to working with you.
If there's no further questions, if everybody enjoys the rest of your day, thank you, Angie, for providing our captions today. Have a good rest of the day, everyone.